Here we are with the Alain Dekker that comes from South Africa, but you live in London.
I live
don't you?
I live southwest of London, about 60 kilometers.
Yeah, but you grew up in South Africa.
Yeah, I grew up in a place called Durban.
Yeah, and you are one of the extraordinary players
Well,
in this mind sport Olympiad. You also won the Pentamind
in 2004.
in 2004. And which are your favorite games and how you discovered this mind sport Olympiad?
My first Mind Sport Olympiad was in 2001. I just happened to see an advert in the newspaper. I happened to come to the country in 2000 for my wife's PhD, and I saw an advert in the newspaper. I came to play in a chess event only, and it was quite a spectacle because there were thousands of players. I think it was in Alexander Palace.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I never heard of it before, but it was pretty amazing. I saw people playing Owari and Continuo, and I'd never seen these games before. I knew only about games like chess and bridge, and I had heard of games like classical games, that's right.
But you were living in London? Already?
No, at that time we were living in Manchester. Manchester, and I was just coming down to London with a friend, and I played in one chess event. It was a chess rapid play. It was quite exciting. And then I didn't play again until 2003, when I played in a chess event and Pakru. Pakru is a board game invented by an inventor in Manchester, a really super game. It was in the Mind Sports Olympiad until about 2010-11, something like that. And then it's disappeared from the Mind Sports, but it's still, the World Championship still happens in Manchester every year.
And you are proud to be world champion.
And I'm proud to be world champion. In the last sort of 13 years, I've been world champion 12 times, something like this. So I'm very proud. It's a very super game. And, I think my favorite game at the Mind Sports is Entropy.
Entropy.
I think it's for me, it's the game of the Mind Sports. It's every world champion, every Pentamind champion has tried it. Most of the Pentamind champions have done very well at it.
A part of me?
Maybe with a few exceptions. For example, Taro de Toffoli yourself. But for example, you take David Pierce, you take Tim Hebbs, you take Demis Hassabis, you take Andres Kursk, you take Paco de la Banda, you take all of these people, and myself. And they've all won the Entropy event or gone a medalist for it. For me, it's the best game at the Mind Sports. There are of many great games. It's subjective choice, of course.
Yeah,
some people.
I'm tempted to practice the game. About you made such a promotion.
It's such a classic game in the sense that you don't play it anywhere else. It's very contained. It's got the perfect balance, I think, between complete knowledge, like a game like chess or Lines of Action, but also a game where you have to balance different possibilities, but like a backgammon.
In reality, there are two different matches. One you are chaos, one you are order, and then vice versa.
Correct, yes.
But the score, the two scores are completely independent.
That's correct. If you are playing without knowledge of your opponent, you will expect to score a score of around about 80 points. That seems to be about the par score. And if you happen to score more than your opponent, then you win. You obviously, the games are independent, as you say. So the only interaction you have in the terms of the rounds is that the player who plays order second has knowledge of what he has to score. So it may be, you could say...
Does it help?
Some people say it does, because you know that you have to play, if the opponent has scored a high score and he's a good player, you may need to take a few more risks. So for example, you might try a few for a bit of luck. I don't think so. I think Entropy is one of the best games of Mind Sports, but there are many games that I think are really good. Another game that I think is really good is Lines of Action and Backgammon. I really think Backgammon is a wonderful game.
Backgammon, it's my favorite game.
Really good game, Backgammon.
We have to have Backgammon.
Yes, we'll play a game of Backgammon. So there are, and in terms of a fun, light game, I think Lost Cities is a wonderful game.
Yeah,
really wonderful.
Lost Cities is the game friendly game for everybody.
Lovely game, yeah. Very, very super game.
Yeah, but still, you can manage to be on the top.
That's right. Every year you see the certain people are towards the top. Maybe not winning every year, but sort of towards the top.
Yeah,
it's quite a bit of skill.
I got some medals in
yes.
And you too.
I also, yes, both of us have got some medals in the game.
And I would like to say some words about your vision in games, because as far as I understand, your vision is more about a fair play,
Absolutely,
let's say a fun play instead of competition. But you are a strong competitor as
Sure,
well.
sure.
So how can you?
I'm definitely more for the mind sports is about inclusivity, trying to draw all sorts of people to the event. It's not just for the so-called elite players. I know that I have a different philosophy to some of the other players here. I definitely want to make sure that the tournaments are run on time, so that the players can know that they will start the next round in time. I try to run the tournaments that I run quite smoothly. I try to avoid confrontation if I can. It's not always possible, especially with certain individuals that you and I both know about can be quite volatile. But I also try to win. I try to put my best into the game. Like Paco Della Banda made a very good point in his lecture the other day. He said that when you give your best to the game and your opponent gives your best to the game, in a sense you actually end up loving your opponent, even though he might beat you in the game. We ultimately are fallible. We human beings.
Absolutely. I experienced something like this yesterday, or no, let's say Friday.
Yeah.
I play Carcassonne, which I'm not a specialist, and they decided in the very last minute they changed the format of the tournament.
Okay.
And they play heads up. That's fantastic. It's the best way to
Sure,
play.
yeah.
So
I agree.
I was happy, but still they changed at the very last minute.
Which is not good.
And that was the occasion to play against strong Norwegian players, and I realized how deep could be also Carcassonne. So now, if I decided to improve in Carcassonne, I know what to do after having played with them and lose with them.
Paco made a fantastic point in his lecture, and I think it's quite good. When you play a game, for example, you play a game of backgammon, you are winning the game nice and comfortably. Your opponent has 1 point on the bar, you've already borne off a few checkers, he rolls double six. What are you going to do? Are you going to get upset? Yes, it's easy to get upset, and it's you feel like you've been cheated maybe, but the relative life is you may have played correctly up to that point. He just needed a lucky roll. So if you feel like you are a victim, if you're not focusing on what you can learn from your opponent, and focusing on being a tough competitor, but also thinking about what your opponent's doing, then you will miss many opportunities to improve your own understanding of the game and also to enjoy the game more.
Yeah, I understand that, and as I improved my knowledge about Carcassonne a lot just in 2 games.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Darren, for talking to me.
It was a pleasure for me. Bye.
Bye-bye.